Hi students, if you have traveled in your vehicle from one place to another, you have to cherish chemistry. If you had nice dosas and idlis for your breakfast, again you need to cherish chemistry. Why? Because for traveling you need fuel, petrol, and for cooking, your mommy is using LPG, liquefied petroleum gas, again a fuel. So today we are going to cherish chemistry with the topic fuel. So we are going to see the definition of fuel and how fuel is undergoing combustion, and then the different types of fuel. Okay, so fuel is classified based on its occurrence and based on its physical state. So based on its occurrence we have primary and secondary fuel, and based on its physical state we have solid, liquid and gaseous fuels. And also we will study the characteristics of a good fuel. How do you categorize a good fuel? Based on calorific value, ash content, ignition temperature and many other parameters. So shall we go to the slideshow? Yes.
Hi students, today to cherish chemistry we'll be discussing on the topic fuels. So we'll be looking into the definition of fuel and how fuel undergoes combustion and the various classification and types of fuel based on its occurrence and based on its physical state, and also the characteristics of good fuel. We'll be looking into the characteristics of good fuel based on calorific value, ignition, temperature and many other parameters. Okay, so what is a fuel? A fuel is a combustible substance, okay, and it mainly contains carbon. Carbon is the main constituents, and when this carbon burns properly, what we get is a large amount of heat, and this large amount of heat that is generated can be used economically for various purposes. Hope you got it. It's a combustible substance which contains carbon, and this carbon on burning will give heat, and that heat can be used for various purposes. The best example for a fuel is coal, right? Coal, wood, everything, anything that burns and gives you heat energy. And the main source of fuel, as we discussed earlier, it is fossil fuels, and we know that it is decreasing day by day, and we call it as exhaustible fuels, right? What is this combustion? How a fuel is undergoing combustion? The term combustion, it refers to exothermal oxidation of fuel by air or oxygen, and that happens at a very fast rate, okay, at a rapid rate. And what happens is you produce high temperature. And how do you observe this? How do you know that an exothermal oxidation has happened in a fast rate? By means of flame, by means of light and heat. Okay, you burn something, and when you observe flame, now you know that an exothermal oxidation has happened. Okay, and most of the fuels, it contains either carbon or carbon and hydrogen, or some might contain sulfur. So when you have carbon, it will get oxidized to carbon dioxide. When you have hydrogen, it will get oxidized to water, and sulfur to sulfur dioxide. If in some cases mineral matter is present, it will get converted into ash. If it is a complex fuel, it has so much of substances in it. So what will happen? It will undergo thermal decomposition. It will get converted into simpler products, and finally you will get carbon dioxide and water. Here we have the reaction for that. So coal on first it gets converted into simpler products. It is coke plus coal gas, and finally you will get carbon dioxide. Okay, yeah. So what is a combustible substance? A substance that burns and produces light and heat. There are some examples: paper, wood, kerosene, LPG. And what are non-combustible substances? That do not burn in air and it does not produce any kind of a flame, right? Water, sand, cement. And the next important topic is types or classification of fuel. How do you classify fuel? So based on occurrence and based on physical state. So based on occurrence, we can classify them as primary or secondary fuel, or natural fuel or derived fuel. So the secondary is we derive the fuel from the natural one. Okay, so these are the categories based on occurrence. So here I have some examples. So primary fuel occurs naturally, example coal, fossil fuels. Secondary fuels we derive from primary fuels, example coal gas, gasoline, and many more. And the second classification is based on the physical state. So how do you categorize based on physical state? As solid, liquid, and gas. Okay, and here again we have examples for that. Okay, this is the broad classification. So fuel classified as primary and secondary. Primary is classified as solid, liquid, and gas, and again secondary fuel also can be classified as solid, liquid, and gas. This is natural and this is artificial type of fuel. Yeah, the first category, okay, based on physical state is solid fuel. And the very common example is coal. Okay, coal, we can see coal even in a common man's hand, right? Okay, coal is a most common solid fuel and it is generally dark brown and it is like a sedimentary rock. It is derived from a sedimentary rock, or it is an unoxidized remain of animals and plants. Okay, and there are various categories of coal and you call this as coal ranking based on the amount of carbon that is present, peat, lignite, bituminous, and anthracite. You see the picture here. Okay, what is the advantage and disadvantage of a solid fuel? Mainly, if you see in the goods train, you can transport this solid fuel. You can transport coal, so easy to transport. Convenient to store, you can store it for years, so convenient to store without any risk or spontaneous explosion. And their cost of production is low. Like as I told you, a common man can buy and a common man can produce it. Okay, they possess moderate ignition temperature. This is one parameter or one characteristics for a fuel, moderate ignition temperature. We'll be looking into that. Disadvantage is, yeah, when you burn, what happens? You get a lot of ash content and a large proportion of heat is wasted, and there is a clinker formation. You would have seen when coal burns, you hear a sound and the burning thing comes, right? A clinker. And the combustion operation cannot be controlled. Once it starts, you cannot control it easily, and the cost of handling is also high. Like handling in the sense, right from mining till you reach to the finished product. So the cost is a bit high. Liquid fuel. So this is very common that we are using in our day-to-day life, right? Fuels that are in the liquid form and they are generally obtained from petroleum and petroleum products. Here I have given some examples again: petrol, diesel, and kerosene. What is the advantage? What is the disadvantage? Advantage, they possess very high calorific value. Again, one important characteristic that is needed for a good fuel. Okay, and then they burn without dust. Like you burn kerosene. Okay, you burn kerosene. You will not get any ash, right? You will not get any dust, neither any clinker. Okay, so they are easy to transport through pipes. If you see in industry, big pipelines will be there to transport this liquid fuel. And they can be stored indefinitely without any loss. Okay, and then disadvantage part is the cost of the liquid fuel. Of course, we all agree every day petrol rate is just increasing, and I don't know, one day it will not be reachable by a common man. And the second one is the special storage tanks should be, you have to develop a special storage tanks in order to fill in your liquid fuels. And you have a greater risk of the hazards, the fire hazards, right? Because it is inflammable and it is volatile. So definitely fire hazard, and especially the fire hazards is very fire hazards is there, and it gives a bad odor when it burns, right? When you burn kerosene, when you burn petrol, the smell that you get out of it. Gaseous fuels, the fuels that are in gaseous phase, your LPG, best example, natural gas. Okay, yeah, here I've again shown some pictures and examples. Advantage, they're clean. When we talk about green chemistry or green environment, definitely this gaseous fuel will come into picture because they don't leave any combustible matter, they don't leave any ash. Okay, they do not require any special burner. They burn without any smoke and ashes. They are free from impurities. That's the main reason, free from impurities. Then disadvantage, you need very large storage tanks and it is highly inflammable. Just imagine, we don't know when it will burn if it is not properly stored. So chances of fire hazards is very, very high. What is the characteristics of a good fuel? So this is the overall picture. We'll be doing this one by one. Number one, it should have high calorific value. Number two, proper or moderate ignition temperature. It should neither be too high nor too low. Number three, from the fuel you should not produce poisonous products. Again, that will cause very ill effect. Number four, it should have a moderate rate of combustion. Next one, the combustion should be controllable. Next one, it should not leave behind ash. Now, when you burn, ash should not be there, and it should be easily available in plenty, and it should have a low moisture content, and it should be cheap. And last one, it should be easy to transport. Yeah, so we look one by one. High calorific value. So a good fuel should have high calorific value. It should produce large amount of heat. So as it burns, large amount of heat should be produced. How do you define this calorific value? Technically, the calorific value of a fuel is defined as the quantity of heat liberated by complete combustion of unit weight of fuel in air or oxygen. Okay, so how much heat that you get by heating 1 gram of the fuel. How much quantity of heat that you get, that is known as calorific value. Higher the calorific value, the fuel is very good. So that's the idea. So again the calorific value depends upon two things. One, the nature of the fuel, what fuel is that, and the second one, the relative proportion, what is the element present in that fuel. So based on that, your calorific value will either increase or decrease. Just imagine, if you have moisture in the fuel, what will happen? Definitely calorific value will decrease. Got it? Okay, yeah. So this is moisture, about moisture content. If you have hydrogen and oxygen in your fuel, 1/8 of its weight of hydrogen will form water. So you have to eliminate that water, and then only you have to calculate the calorific value, and that calculation is given by Dulong's formula. So if your fuel is consisting carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and sulfur, this is the formula to calculate the calorific value. Okay. And there are two types, lower calorific value and higher calorific value. Lower calorific value is otherwise known as net calorific value. Higher is known as gross calorific value. The definition is the same. Okay, amount of heat produced when unit mass volume of the fuel is burnt. But what is the observation here in the HCV or higher calorific value? The products of combustion, when it can be cooled to room temperature. Got it? The product, whatever products that you obtain after heating, it can be cooled to room temperature. But in the second case, the products of combustion are permitted to escape. You can't preserve, or you cannot capture the product of combustion. Got it? So this heat, or the amount of heat generated by this without the product of combustion is LCV, and with or if you can obtain the product of combustion, it is known as HCV. Got it? Fine. And again, this is the formula for net calorific value. And for this, you need to know the latent heat of water vapor, which is again constant. The next condition is you should have a moderate ignition temperature. The ignition temperature should be moderate. It should neither be too high nor be too low. So a good fuel should have moderate ignition temperature. Low moisture content. Again, we saw this. A good fuel should have low moisture content, because moisture content reduces the calorific value. Yeah, you should have low non-combustible matter. What do you mean by this? It is related to ash. Okay, when I say non-combustible matter, when you burn, if you are getting lot of ash, you call that as non-combustible matter, and that is because of the presence of inorganic material in the fuel. What are the inorganic material commonly that is found? Salts of sodium, vanadium, calcium, magnesium. Okay. Ash can be present, but at very trace amount, 0.03 to 0.07%. If excessive ash is present, what will happen, especially in liquid fuel, it will cause a fouling smell, and also ash will give an erosive effect on the burner tips. Just imagine if your LPG cylinder is giving ash, all our burner tips will be eroded, and the same thing will happen to big boilers and in the industries. So where it needs high temperature, so your corrosion and fouling smell in all the equipment will happen. So that's not a good sign, right? Yeah. The next thing is about moderate rate of combustion. The temperature of combustion of fuel depends upon the rate, the speed of combustion. It should not be too slow or too high. Okay, too high also the temperature will reach very quickly. Too low, again, that is also a problem. Minimum smoke and non-poisonous gases. Non-poisonous gases should not be liberated in a fuel. Again, that is a very dangerous for humans. It should be cheap, easy transportation, controllable combustion, non-spontaneous. No, only if you ignite, it should ignite. It should not spontaneously ignite. Low storage cost. Okay, the cost should be very low to store. Okay, thank you, class. Had a nice time with you. Cherish Chem.